It's tea time, positive tea time, and we are spilling all of it right here in this space created by two crazy fun-loving besties. It's a no judgment zone for sharing stories of hope, faith, love, growth, and most of all, grace and gratitude. So join us as we get ready to share some positivity and get a fresh perspective on life. And welcome to another episode of Spilling the Positivity, brought to you by our series sponsor, which is Tetley. We are very excited about them. And we also have McVitie's Rich Tea Biscuits. They're on board today for this special episode. And this episode is great. We cannot wait to get into it. Maria, let us tell them about our wonderful guest right here.
Wonderful guest today is phenomenal woman, extraordinary mother, Tracy Knight. Welcome, Tracy.
Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. Love some tea.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's talk about this journey that you've been on.
Well, who's Tracy? Tracy, easygoing, likes to laugh, likes a good line. Simple.
Simple and amazing.
Simple.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Simply amazing. Thank you. In my professional life, I work for Sagicor. I'm the Vice President of Customer Experience and Sales Strategy. Mm-hmm. And in my service life, I'm President-elect for Rotary Club of Barbados.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's...
I'll have some tea to that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So tell us about your wonderful son, Ade.
Ade is, as I say, he's amazing. He's a wonderful child. He likes to do outdoor activities. He's very outdoorsy. He likes hiking, kayaking, swimming, horseback riding, anything that makes my heart go. He's there, and I am right alongside there with him when I can. When I can't, I have friends and family who will do the jumping off boats, swimming the reefs with him. So that works out. So. Ade lives a good life. Most of the time, he's happy. He likes structure, so he likes to know what's happening next, what's happening from day to day, what's happening within the day.
And what makes Ade so special, we tell our viewers, is that he's living with autism.
Yes.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? Living with autism means a number of different things for a number of different people, because autism is a spectrum. It's called autism spectrum disorder, and a person living with autism may present with a number of conditions. So you may have limited social skills. Okay. So what that manifests in terms of play, in terms of how children play. Sometimes they play what we call parallel play. So a group of kids may be over here playing, and they're playing by themselves. They may not play with each other. Yeah. How they interact with other people and so forth. Communication can also be an issue in that some people living with autism are actually nonverbal, and some persons are verbal, and then there are some who, like Ade, who he talks, but he doesn't like to. Okay. So they have limited verbal ability, and then sometimes a lot of children with autism as well also have gastrointestinal issues. So there's a belief, there's a theory out there that autism is really a disease of the gut, and so there are a lot of persons who believe that if you heal the gut, you can manage the autism better. So you would find that some children with autism are very picky eaters, and their diet is very limited, very restrictive. And some children may have a lot of food allergies and so forth. Okay. So like Ade, he's on a gluten-free diet. Right? And then there's sensory issues. So some children touch, taste, when Ade was growing up, those outdoor mats that are kind of prickly, he never liked to step on them. So up to this day, he spawns it. So he doesn't like certain textures, certain things on his skin.
It's because it's extra sensitive.
Right, certain things on his skin. When he was growing up, getting his hair cut was a whole big production, episode, meltdown. Wow. He did not like that. But over time, he's become desensitized to that, the buzzing of the machine.
Okay.
Because their senses are like heightened.
Exactly.
Okay.
So sometimes, when a child with autism who has sensory issues walks into a room, everything comes at them. They don't always filter out. Oh, wow. So they may see the fan, the light, everything is just magnified for them.
Yeah.
So whereas we can filter out and we say, well, that light is over there, that fan is over there, sometimes children with autism, everything comes at them in one jolt. So with occupational therapy and over time, that can be minimized.
Okay.
So that's what you can, and regrettably, some children with autism suffer with seizures as well.
Okay. Okay.
Luckily for me, Addie's never had that. But those are some of the things that you can experience with a child
along
with
the
autism.
spectrum.
Right.
Right.
Some kids will need more support than others. Some kids need more support. Others don't need as much.
How old is Ade now?
Addie's 16.
Wow, you have
Wow,
a 16-year-old.
I have a 16. I
teenager.
have a teenager on my hand.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I
So
do.
what was that period of from the pregnancy going through to maybe toddler? What was that period like for you?
I think, well, my pregnancy was difficult because I had preeclampsia, so I spent a lot of time on bed rest in the hospital.
Wow.
And labor was okay, bringing him home, everything, he was all right. But then I noticed the early signs of like flapping, not talking, being a good baby, He would sit there by himself and he would be fine. I was like, wow, he's a really good baby. Playing with egg cups, even though he had a room full of toys. So
Yeah.
those are the early things. But those early years were also, I would say, the most emotionally difficult. Coming to grips with the diagnosis, which is very difficult. In fact, people liken an autism diagnosis to one of grief, where you go through the whole stages of denial, anger,
Okay.
blame. They say
And you
it's like
experienced
that.
all of that.
Yeah. And, there was a point in time in my life where I cried every night.
Wow.
Yeah, I cried a lot at night because I didn't know if he would talk. I didn't know what kind of life he would have. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing with the different therapies because, start the therapies and you don't know if he's going to be able to dress himself because that's all those things we had to do therapy for. Would he be able to dress himself and all that?
And the research is now
Yes,
at
yeah,
that time
taking
coming
off.
out, and people are now
Exactly.
acknowledging it more.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And so because some people don't get it, they think it's just a bad behaved child or what have you. So those early years were difficult. But I must say that I was glad that I stood by my convictions to have
Yes.
as much early intervention as possible
That
and pour
mother's
into
intuition.
him. Yeah.
And that's kudos to you for doing
Yes,
that, being
definitely.
proactive. Yeah.
You have to.
Definitely.
I tell moms, it's a window of opportunity when you get the diagnosis, find out what, because every child is different, what type of treatment will make your child have a good quality of life and where you can afford it, because it's not cheap, where you can afford it, just try to get in those sessions and do what you have. And a lot of it you have to do on your own as well,
Okay.
You can't expect the therapists and the teachers to do everything. So you have
Right.
to do things on your own. I remember I used to sing to Ade every morning in the car, just so because you want to, he's not talking, but you want to immerse him in a language-rich environment.
Very good.
So you're talking to him. So even though today I'm like, I talk to him, this child's probably saying, she's just always talking to me. But I talk to him, I used to sing to him, and you put him in your lap and you do the actions for all the action songs and everything. We did a lot of workshops, and I was really blessed that when I did the workshops, I could include my entire family.
Oh,
So,
fantastic.
like we did a workshop called More Than Words, and the therapist came home, and even the other speech therapist, Sharika, she came home and she said, this is how we have to model, this is how we're going to work with Ade. So between my mom's house and my aunt's house where he spends time, everybody did the same thing. So everybody knew this is the course of action we're doing, this is how we get Ade. His snacks are not going to be accessible. He has to come and ask. So we're
Right.
promoting language as much as possible. So it was a lot of stuff to do.
journey.
Yeah, it was a lot of
But
stuff
you had
to do.
a lot of support too. So
Yes.
I did. And I think, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to hide. And, when you start talking about it, you get support. My family is very supportive. I knew I came from a loving family, but with Ade, I was like, wow, my family's amazing. Yeah, my relatives, my sister, my cousins overseas, everybody just helps in their camp.
That is a blessing.
It is, and I think it also allowed me in another way when I look at it, because like in the early days, you're a junior, you can't be taking time off to work, take your child here and there.
Yeah.
My dad did all those runs,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah. Daddy, you're a boss.
Yes. My dad, he did all those runs, and sometimes the therapist would say, oh, I want to change Ade's time. I was like, no. She said, it's all right. Granddad said it's okay. He'll bring it. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
I did, and even at work. So sometimes people will call and say, Tracy, they got a documentary on CNN on autism, you know?
Yes,
At
yes.
work colleagues both at when it was at Cape Shepherd and Sagicor. And did you see this article, you know? And, you know, I do have a lot of support, and I think Ade is really rewarded by that. There are places we go, if I go by myself, they're like, where Ade?
Yes.
Where's Ade? Or people come and say, I see Ade hiking, I see Ade somewhere. Like, all right, yeah. So a lot of support, but I've never hidden, you know, I said, this is my son, this is who
Which
we
is
are,
amazing.
and I've never been ashamed of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Nothing to be ashamed
it's
of.
nothing, no, because
Yeah.
it's something, it just happened.
And we've come a long way in Barbados because there were times, and in the world really, because there were
Yes.
times where people would, kids who had any sort of differences or, you know,
Yeah.
challenges would be hidden,
Hidden
away.
Yeah,
no, no.
And look, you know, look at how times have changed,
Exactly.
and Ade is pulling you
You
out
allow-
of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Making you go swimming and hiking.
and
and
all
horseback
sorts of riding
riding.
and stuff that I'd be like, no. And I would not sit here and say there are days when I don't say, but God, why me? Why you gotta deal with all of this? And then sometimes when, you know, but when we're having a really good day, I say, well, why not me?
Yes. Yeah.
Why not me? This
Yeah.
is my blessing.
Yeah.
And it's inspired me to be bold and advocate for him, and you know, to be strong in what I believe. I think one of those things, it really taught me to follow my mother's intuition
Yes.
as well. Because
Critical.
I sensed that something was not off. I got in there, did what I had to do, and had the support of my family. And
So Tracy, you're doing so much, and you have a full life. How are you decompressing? What does self-care look like for you?
well, you know, there's a famous quote, I can't remember it exactly, but it's by Audre Lorde, where she says, self-preservation is an act of warfare.
Very true.
Yes.
I can't remember all, but the sentiment is you really have to fight for it. And I think you have to be emotionally aware to know when you've
Yes.
had enough. I think two main components of self-care, I think people would expect me to say spa and all that, but the two main components of self-care that I've found that work for me is setting boundaries
Oh yes.
Oh, yes. Big
and
on that.
also not requiring external validation.
Oh my God.
Right?
Can we have some tea to that? We're gonna sip some Tetley.
Sip some
tea
tea
to
to
that.
those are two gems, guys, that we need to take
Two.
away. Yeah.
Setting boundaries and not looking for external validation. Woo.
Something that I work on because everybody can't have all of you, and you have to be able to say no. You know, like even in my Rotary journey, we do a lot of service on Saturdays, and those were the days that I would be at therapy or horseback riding with Ade, so I couldn't do everything. And you know, you have to appreciate that for yourself rather
Yes.
than
Right.
feeling guilty. I can't say yes to that.
Yes, yeah.
Because this is what I'm doing. I'm not,
Right.
it's
It's a
not
priority.
it's part of his development. So I think those are some of the things, setting boundaries, watching people who may be too negative in your circle.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Cutting them
Cutting
out.
that out.
And people who don't show up, knowing who shows up and who doesn't.
Yeah, and who has access to you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How much time you spend with them and
Yes.
so forth. And then requiring external validation is like, listen, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is me. This is me. And not worrying about, who she thinks she is, or
Yeah.
she feels she's this. Yeah, I is this.
Yes.
And all of that.
Own it.
Right?
Good for you.
Absolutely.
This is it. This
Yeah.
is me, and this is who I am. And your opinion of me is none of my business. That is none of my concerns.
Yes,
And those are the two things that I've learned, and that self-care. On a more practical day-to-day level, I like soaking, as Ade calls it. Mommy is soaking.
So he knows when you're taking time.
Yeah, that's another thing. We have this thing at home called quiet time, and his quiet time, he knows there's no gadgets. That's the wind down period before bedtime, and he's supposed to be reading or doing a puzzle or something like that. Is no gadgets. So when I am saying, I say, well, no, it's mommy's quiet time. He says, mommy's quiet time, so he knows, okay, mommy's in her room. She wants to be left alone. She's probably going to be soaking. So
And soaking is your
in a tub.
Yes.
Epsom salts, lavender oil, nothing fancy.
Yeah, that's
But
fancy though.
God, when I'm in there, I feel like I'm at Sandy Lane
Yes.
Spa. I'm like, I even have a little tub pillow.
Yes.
You know, I have I light my candles.
Yes,
I do this. You know, I may play music and
Yeah.
I'm good.
Fantastic.
But that brings me down. I love to read.
Yeah.
I have to read every night before bed, and the truth is, right, I don't be reading. I mean, I might read the Atlantic and the Economist or Harvard Business Review, whatever. But you see, at night, I am reading trash.
Yeah,
I am reading.
Yes.
I'm reading historical romances.
Yes.
I'm reading
Yes.
Beverly Jenkins. I'm
But it's
reading
not
Brenda
trash.
Jackson.
That's not
I don't know.
trash.
It's what I say. You know, people call it trash, but I'm reading romance novels.
Yes.
And I am
won't be
just
taken
And
away.
taken
from
away.
I'm
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
You know, but-
However you deal with your self-care
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
yeah.
then the other thing that came to me the other day too, I said, you know, your name is Tracy Knight. You're called Tracy Knight for a reason. I said, because you are your own knight in shining armor. Nobody ain't coming to save you. I gotta save myself,
Okay,
right?
I have to sip to that,
Yes,
girl.
yes, cheers to that,
sure.
Tracy. Knight.
I'm saving me.
I
Yes.
love it.
So I'm going to be
I
my
love it.
own knight in shining armor. And from the time I
Fantastic.
realized that, I'm like, you gotta do what you gotta do. Nobody in the cavalry ain't coming.
Yeah.
Right.
You fix yourself. You do what you need to do to make you happy. And that's the ultimate goal, really, to be
Right.
happy. You
Yeah.
know? There are
And
two
peace,
things.
peace.
And
I
at
said,
peace.
At the end of the day, what I want the most is for my tombstone to read, she was a good mother to Ade.
Yeah.
It's not about my professional accolades or anything
Yeah.
like that. I want to continue to be a good mother to Ade and to make sure that I have given him the best shot at life.
Yeah,
That is
conviction
so
is
beautiful.
so beautiful, Tracy. Honestly,
you.
That,
Oh my
that touched me.
gosh, that.
That touched me really deep. And I know there are lots of new mothers who are now starting the journey. And this knight in shining armor
Yes.
must
My
have
own
some. Yes, must have some
Tips.
and advice for them.
Okay. First things first is it's accept as much as you can the diagnosis. It's not the end of the world. It's not a death sentence. It's the beginning of a beautiful journey. It's going to be overwhelming. You know, if you get your assessment, if you get a good assessment, they typically will say, well, these are the interventions that you should follow that will help.
Okay.
Start putting those in place as much as you can and be open-minded, very open-minded. One of the things that I was told early on was embrace creative stupidity. Who told me to do that? So I'm a full goofy self with your child. Enjoy it. Have
Yeah.
fun, you know?
Right.
You know, like when Ade was potty training and so forth, when he did go to potty, it was like a big celebration. Yay! Whoa! And to the point that, you know, when Ade does something great on his own, he says, excellent.
Oh, I love that.
He congratulates himself.
I love it. Right?
I
To
love
do
it.
that, actually.
So he says, good job.
Oh,
And he
yes.
doesn't wait for anybody
Anybody's-
to affirm him.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
far as he's concerned, he's done this and he's done it well and it's excellent. So I'm just saying those are the moments that you will have. It's a different journey. It's unique to you.
Yes.
Don't feel like it's all is lost. All is not lost. You know, but please do something. Don't
Yeah.
stay there and be like,
Wallowing in
don't
self-pity.
don't start the pity party. Start the interventions and that early window.
Because that perfect baby is still a perfect baby.
Yeah,
Perfect.
always.
He's just perfectly different.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So Tracy, know that before we came on sorry, Miss Sarah, before we started our initial conversation, you talked about preparing him for life skills. His life skills, know that he's in a different stage of his life. What's that like? What's that journey like?
Well, I'm trying to make him as independent as possible, right? So, and COVID was a perfect opportunity for that. We were both at home and so forth. So I started, he would have already done basic things like make up his bed and so forth. So I started like helping him with being able to do basic dishes, cooking. He says he wants to be a chef, so
Oh,
we're
fantastic.
gonna work on that. That's our new thing. That's our new adventure. He told me like last week, he's like, I want to, mommy. I said, Ade, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I called off all these things. He said, chef. I said, what does a chef do? Chef cooks in the kitchen. So
Oh, nice.
plus
nice.
he's a foodie, so
Right.
that's perfect for him. So basically, in terms of being able to, do his laundry, tidy up after himself, tidy up a room, he's not untidy. One thing about him, he's not an untidy child. So that kind of thing is what I'm looking at. Water the plants. He knows some basic things around the home, like he can manage the security system.
Wow.
That kind of thing. He can do. For school, he packs his lunch bag, he packs his school bag, he puts out his clothes. He's very structured. So even in terms of breakfast, he tells me the night before what he wants for breakfast, and he puts out the utensils and the dry ingredients, he covers them down so that this short order cook. When I get up in the mornings, I can make his meals. But I'm really going to have to push more on that, because also things like being able to take the bus, going to town, make a purchase, because he loves the card machine, but I also have to make sure that he has the money concept right. He knows the bills and stuff like that, but how to make change and things like that. So those are the kind of things that we are going to be working on over the next couple of years, so that he can live independently. And I think that's one of the things that, when I saw that story in the paper, the couple, and I saw the comments, I was like, a lot of Barbadians seem to think that people living who are differently able cannot live independently.
Yes, exactly.
Can live independently. May need some assistance in certain areas, but they're capable of independent living. And that's my next set of goal for Ade: vocational training and independent living. That's life skills. That's where we're at now.
Great.
Oh, Tracy, it has been a pleasure. You have brought us so much joy with your journey.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you've taught us a lot. And I think the audience will really appreciate your journey and what you've gone through, and how you and Ade actually have gotten to this place. Some of the main points: no external validation for self-care and boundaries, right? Your self-care, and then with Ade, right? Faith,
courage,
early intervention, advocacy for your child.
Yes. And follow that mother's intuition. Don't let anybody tell you different.
And reach out for support. You'll be surprised the support you'll get. It comes in a number of places: work, home, family. Support is there.
And you have to be positive about this journey.
Exactly.
Don't let the negativity that you may see online or have around you, just cut it out, so that you too can have a positive journey. Tracy, thank you so much
for having me. Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. And thank you for joining us, and look out for our next episode. And remember, stay safe, and most of all, please stay positive. Take care.